Welcome everyone in this new video tutorial about the multiplayer combat editor. In this video we're just going to review together some utility functions built in the skills component. So we're just going to open up any skill you have. For instance, I have BP thrust. We're going to right click and we're going to type in Gators. So what are Gators functions? These are all the functions I created for us to quickly find information we need when using the skill editor. So we're not going to go over each of them, but we're going to quickly review that. So we have the lock getters. What are them? They are about finding location in the world. So whether it be weapon, the weapon socket of the user of the skill, or the user of the skill himself, a socket on the user of the skill. And we have two forward functions which we often use. For instance, get user forward range. You specify a range there and it automatically gives you 1 meter in front of the user of the skill, for instance. So what are the other things we get there? We can grab the stat manager of the skill. We can grab the skill manager owning the skill. These and these are a duplicate, I believe. Okay, so this is a utility function. Get stat manager gives you either the stat manager of the skill, the stat manager of the user of the skill, or the stat manager of the weapon of the user of the skill. So you can reduce stuff, you can reduce stats, you can basically act on the manager. So you can grab the combat manager of the user, you can grab a lot of things. I'm just reviewing this quickly just to see if anything can look weird. We have the static category, which we're going to review after we've been through the rest. Get friendly mesh sockets. So this is a function you can override to modify its behavior. It's basically a function used to wrap up a formula you are always using. For instance, if you are always saying get sockets, get weapon, weapon muzzle. For instance, if you are always saying this in all of your skill, maybe you can always sum this up to get, and it gives you that automatically, and you can override this. And we also have some getters that are only available if you are requiring them on clients, so on the user of the skill, on the machine who use the skill. Make cursor location, camera transform, user camera. Camera is only available on clients, so you cannot call this on all machines. So if you remember how skills are set up, when you are using trigger sort effects, when you are switching on authority, if you are trying to call, for instance, the user camera while working on this node, it won't work for all machines except for the machine who triggered the skill. So you don't want to call the client getters while working on all authority. You only want to call them while working on clients. And it brings us to the static category, which is a category containing static information which you can use on all machines. And these information are carried when the user presses or releases the skill. So I created a node which gives you the camera, the transform of the client camera. This you can be using that in all authority. And these information are called static because They are snapshots at the moment the user used the skill. If you are working with a delay or with a timer and are using these informations, they might be outdated. For instance, if you are using camera transform after an animation has been played, it's not going to be the same camera transform when the animation is ended than the information contained in that node, because it's only a snapshot of when the user presses the input. So for instance, we have a bunch of information like get final charge ratio. In case you are using a charged skill, it gives you the amount of charge the skill has from 0.1 to 1. You have the current skill information, which is basically all the snapshot information contained in one node. And a lot of these are going to be the subject of other videos. And we have one other function which is quite relevant. It's make all the other are relevant as well, but it's just static. All the getters are just informations you can get when you can try to get. So when you are working with within skills, if you remember that video, just all you have to remember from that video is that I made a lot of functions which facilitates our work, and make sure to try to find if I made it easy to do the thing you were looking for. And if you didn't find the easy function, if you didn't find a function you think will be there, make sure to tell me. So I'm just going to explain that last function real quick. Make friendly transform. This is whenever you want to, for instance, spawn a projectile or target or make a transform or have a rotation. You can specify where is the starting point. So it's giving you this node is giving us a location looking towards a point. So first thing we are telling him what is the starting location. Either it's the user, the camera, or a socket. And then we're telling him what is the end location. So the target of the skill, which is a variable which is static as well, granted, which is automatically stored when you press the input, the target of the skill. The crosshair, the final point of the crosshair of the player, where the player was aiming at with its cursor, or the forward vector, the forward rotation of the user. And then we can tell him where it steps, for instance 5. Don't say 0 there, always say at least 1, just to make him able to find out where you are looking at when you are asking for a forward direction. And then you can specify what was the socket you were looking for if you specify the socket there. And it's automatically going to give you the transform. So for instance, if I want to spawn a projectile, it's asking me what projectile I want to create. I do not care. And it's asking me for a transform. What is the starting location of that projectile and where is it looking at? Is it looking at? I can just say, hey, I want to make a friendly transform. I want to say the projectile started on a socket and it finished where I was aiming at my crosshair. The socket is my socket gun muzzle, for instance. The distance we do not care here, since I said I want it to end on my crosshair. And it's going to automatically create the projectile on the socket towards my crosshair, like that. So that was it about the Gators, guys. Hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.